Hello everyone, today I'm going to be making a couple drawstring pouches for some random bits and bobs that I have for leatherworking. I started by drawing out the shape with the pencil. You can't really see the pencil marks, but you can see where it kind of scuffs up the leather. After drawing, I cut it out with the razor blade, and cutting things out with a razor blade actually works really well. You don't have to get some fancy cutting tool to cut leather nicely. You can just use a razor blade, and you only have to take a couple passes too if you have a nice new sharp blade, which is always nice. So first I cut half of it, then I folded it over to make sure that it was perfectly symmetrical, because I'm going to fold this and then stitch it to create the pouch shape. After doing that, I put it in the stitching pony to kind of crease that so it won't be unfolding while I was trying to punch the holes where I'm going to stitch it. I let it sit for a bit and then I punch the holes. I'm using a two-pronged puncher thing here so I can follow the curve. Then I punched some slots, then I realized that I didn't like where they were, so I cut it out and punched some more slots. I purposefully punched those slots so it would bend more easily. After that I stitched it all together. Stitching is incredibly tedious, but it's pretty enjoyable too. I would probably describe it as cutting a lawn with nail clippers. That's how long it takes. Then I inside-outed it to make sure that not the show side, but the other side was facing out, because I feel like that would give it a more rustic and kind of westerny look, because I feel like that's when people use these leather drawstring pouches. This took a really long time, but it wasn't that bad. After that, I cut the little string piece for the drawstring pouch. I didn't really cut it that accurately, so it adds some rustic charm to the bag. Then I put it through the slots, which was pretty time consuming because I cut the slots with a chisel, so there was zero curve, so you're pretty much just shoving the leather through a tiny little hole. Using needle nose pliers helped though. After that I stitched the two pieces together, just poked two holes and kind of stitched them, and then I burned them because it's fun. Because I don't want the ends to fray. Then I fold it with the rivets, and I think it looks pretty cool. For the second pouch, I decided to make something a little bit more rectangular, because what it's holding is going to be rectangular. So I used a square to cut it out, but using a square on leather doesn't really work, because it's hard to reference the second side, because the leather is so thin. Then I folded it to make sure there was a solid crease there, and then I put the rivets in the sides where they're folded. I really like using rivets. They're really fun to use, and they're really cool to set rivets. I'm using rivets and burrs here, not the rapid rivets. I don't like those because there's too little of a difference in the thicknesses you can put rivets on, but when you use these you can do it on really thick material and really thin material and everything in between. I put a bunch of rivets in, but I didn't really put them really close together because this doesn't need to be watertight, obviously. I'm just holding some tools, and they're pretty big tools, so they're not just going to fall out of the bag. I tried to evenly space them, but that's not evenly spaced at all. Adds some rustic charm. Then I poked some slots and put the thing in through the slots. I stitched them together like I did last time, and then I burned the ends so it wouldn't fray, and so the pieces wouldn't fall apart. The third pouch, I just decided to do a normal pouch, kinda, and this is for the tools I use for riveting. I didn't really have enough leather to make this, so I just kinda cut as much as I could, as big as possible, and it kinda worked. Then I poked all the holes for stitching and stitched it together. By the way, threading these needles was not first try. I hate threading needles. It is incredibly difficult. Stitched it together, This was pretty nice. I feel like the more stitching you do, the faster you get, but also the more stitching you do, the more you wonder why you're stitching things by hand. This piece I decided not to inside out because I stitched the wrong side. Oh, I mean, I thought it would look nicer to make one exactly like the one I had made before. I put the piece through the slots that I cut, the string, and then I did something different this time to try to stick them together. I decided to just poke one hole, I then put the string through that, I then just kind of burn both ends so it wouldn't fray, it wouldn't come apart, not do any stitching. It's good when you're lazy and you don't want your YouTube video to take 3 weeks, even though it did. Here's some pictures. Pretty nice. Thank you for watching.